Chernobyl reactor number 4, where the disaster happened.
That's pretty close.
Hey, have you been inside?
No. It was exciting, right?
Yeah,
No extra charge for bear attack. You can only go inside with radiation suit.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to Pripyat.
Ciao.
Yeah, ciao.
Hey, Christopher.
Moscow? Thank you.
Shit. Is everyone okay? Let's go. Move.
Go!
Hey, mate, I'll have to get your email out.
Sure, dude.
Catch up again. I'll be back to Kiev.
Hey guys, Enterthestars. And what a crazy film. This was a film called The Chernobyl Diaries. And this was all the way back in 2012. Now, we've talked a lot about how 2012 is much like 2022. Many instances of overshadowing and overlays and metaphors from that year. Remember, that was the year that iPad Go 2 came out. And iPad Go 2 showed the Chernobyl reactor. And it showed the purple radiation burns. And remember the map that we showed you in iPad Go 2. So I was sitting back and I was thinking about Chernobyl and what films that I had seen in the past that included Chernobyl. And this film popped into my head. And so I thought it would be a great opportunity to revisit this film. And sure enough, I pull it up and I start watching through the film. And there is a reference to the bear attack. Now, what is the significance of the bear attack? Well, of course, we are currently, right now, the entire world is poking the bear. And you have to ask yourself why, and what does all this mean? Why are these people feeling so emboldened? Why are our world controllers feeling so emboldened to basically try and start World War III with Russia? Because the only end game when you continue to poke the bear is that Russia will go nuclear. That's the end game, and everybody knows it. But yet they continue to poke the bear, don't they? So I was shocked to see this scene in the film, The Chernobyl Diaries from 2012, in which they go into this town of Pripyat, which is the town, of course, where everybody was living in the community, just a few hundred yards from the power plant when the disaster took place. And that was the point at which they find this bear in one of the very first buildings that they encounter. Now, of course, this is all symbolic because this group of young people is basically touring Europe, and they were supposed to actually go to Moscow, but instead they go to Pripyat, to Chernobyl, to investigate and get footage and explore the area. And the first thing that happens is they're basically attacked by a bear. So this is symbolic, isn't it? It's a foreshadowing of the bear being poked and rushing into Chernobyl. Now, since the recording of this video, the Russian troops have left Chernobyl. And there's rumors that they were exposed to radiation. And I don't know if those rumors are true, but that is what the rumors are. And everyone's trying to say how horrible Putin is because he exposed his soldiers to the radiation. But the fact remains is that the storyline is playing out exactly as it was scripted, right? Now, this group of students, let's get back to the plot of this. They actually had just left Kiev. So we've got the Kiev component, we've got the Moscow component, and Chernobyl, the three basic places that we're actually experiencing right now, aren't we? So what does all this mean? Well, I am a true believer that this is a scripted reality, and all of this that we're watching is visual voodoo. What is visual voodoo? Well, it's when the people in Hollywood who know the plans of the enemy, they know what Satan's agenda is and what they're up to, they start seeding in these depictions, fictional depictions of what the future is to hold. Now, they write it off as art imitates reality or reality imitates art. But really, that's just a cover story for what the devil is actually doing. We've done too many of these decodes exposing all this stuff over the past decade, exposing films that were made in the past that come full forward to the present. And this film is no different. Now, after these scenes, what ends up happening is that this group of students becomes stranded. The truck that they showed up in no longer works. It's actually sabotaged. And they quickly realize that there are people living in Pripyat, near Chernobyl. And these people are all radiation sick and exposed and deformed from the radiation. And so then there's a game of cat and mouse as they're overtaken one by one by this band of deformed people that live in the town. And they try as they may, they cannot escape because there are hundreds of these people, maybe even thousands, in and around the surrounding area. Now, it goes deeper because then what happens is the few that are left are corralled by these strange beings running around in Chernobyl. They were corralled down into the ground, into these underground caves and underground corridors and underground tunnels. And this is where we get into traffic, because I believe that the true purpose of the depiction of these underground tunnels is to talk about the underground secret in the stew crane. And that is the big white elephant in the room, or the big black bear in the room, we should start calling it, that there is a lot of this traffic going on in the stew crane, and everybody knows it, but nobody's talking about it, are they? So the few remaining students are basically corralled and pushed towards the reactor underground in these tunnels underneath the forest. And as they're pushed to that reactor, they continuously become increasingly sick with radiation. And you could see the visible signs. Their skin begins to turn purple, just like in the scene in I, Pet Goat 2, with the purple jar. Well, purple is also the color of iodine, which is used to treat radiation sickness. So, finally, they're pushed all the way to the reactor, and you see the meltdown, and you see all these beings running around down there. Most of them are bald, they have no hair. And this is where you start getting into other spiritual manifestations of what we're being shown in Hollywood. We have bald people coming to the forefront, don't we? Yes, we do. We have bald people being put on prominent display. Jada Pinkett Smith and Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis just lost his ability to talk. What does this all mean? Well, are we set for a future of radiation sickness, iodine, bald heads, nuclear winter? I hope not. I hope that's not what's in the works before Jesus comes back. There are several scriptures in the Bible that seem to point to something that could be like that, like wormwood, for instance. We've talked about the wormwood monument that sits just yards away from this very scene you're looking at in Pripyat. The wormwood angel blowing a trumpet. And the fact that the word or name Chernobyl means wormwood before it ever melted down. Many people believe that this was all planned out. Now, we've had several meltdowns and nuclear reactor incidents over the years. Of course, the Japanese one on 3/11/2011 with the tsunami and the meltdown. Now, there are other verses in the Bible that talk about a third of the oceans being bitter and the waters, and a third of everything pretty much being destroyed. And maybe that's what this radiation nuclear war is about. We won't know until it happens, but we have to have no fear. because all of this has to happen. Everything that is happening has to happen. We all know the way out of this. The way out of this is Jesus Christ. So you should never be sitting in fear when these things are revealed to you. It's better to know what's coming than to not know, and when it sneaks up behind you, you're not prepared to deal with it spiritually, emotionally, or physically. The time has come now to pull out of the beast and to stop worshiping the beast. Stop investing into the beast system. Stop believing that you can, depend on the economy or depend on a world leader to get you out of a certain situation. The Bible is clear for those of you that can truly read the Bible, that these governments, we're not supposed to be listening to these governments, but yet look who has let us down. Our own churches have let us down because they have told us to worship the beast. They've told us to obey unfair laws that go against God's word. And so, here we are, and this is why so many people took the snake bite. They listened to their government, which is what they were told to do by their pastors and their religion. It was what they were recommended to do, all of the programming. And now here we are. So, I would not recommend this film. It's pretty disturbing, I guess if you're into this kind of thing, the jump scares and all that, I guess it could be entertaining. But basically, this is one of those films that leaves you hopeless as they're being chased around in the underground tunnels. And this would definitely make you afraid. If you didn't know the truth about all this, it would make you an afraid person about what the possibilities of what Russia could do. Now, if you've been checking in on the conflict, you'll understand that what they want us to believe is that all this is starting to wind down, and that the Ukraine is very close to some kind of, compromise in which they're going to agree to not join NATO, to not have a substantial military or nuclear capability, so that they are no longer a threat to Russia. But what I've learned over the years that I've been doing this is that oftentimes they will pretend like they're going to wind something down, and then they'll do a gotcha and flip right back to where they were before. And understand that all this is trauma-based mind control. It's the dangling of the carrot, pulling it away, bringing it back, and that solidifies the mind control and the division. I can tell you this, none of this is over yet. And there's going to come a time where some big things might happen. And when those big things happen, you need to be prepared. Have a plan. A very simple plan maybe, but a plan. Your plan might be that you're not going to freak out if everything happens. You might not even have any physical preparations made, but your plan is to be emotionally and spiritually prepared if you hear news of something major happening. That is still a plan, because a lot of people are not prepared spiritually or emotionally. They still have their fingers dabbling in things that they believe will have a future. Even buying silver and gold is not a future in this reality. It's the opposite of what God taught in the Bible. Idols of gold cannot hear and cannot see. They are mute. But yet, people listen to them. We also have people still investing in the stock market. I've never seen anything like it. Christians investing in defense companies. That's like basically signing a contract with the devil. These are the very defense companies that are selling weapons all over the world. Continuing the slaughter. Continuing the meat grinder. Yeah, those companies are very profitable, as are the pharmaceutical companies. If you would have invested in them, you would have doubled your money. But what are we told to do? And I recommend that if you have a 401k program and you're investing in this stuff, it's going to carry spiritual consequences, because we are the ones propping up the beast. Without our help, nothing happens, does it? Now you can say, oh, well, that would crash the economy. Well, We need to get back to a more basic economy. We need to get back to an economy that holds basically the values of God. The economy of fields of wheat and corn. Okay? We need to get back to economies of trade without the devil's fingers in the middle of all of it, taxing every single thing. That's the economy we need to get back to. And whatever that economy is, it's going to be a way better economy than what we're dealing with right now, which is a whole lot of blood on a whole lot of people's hands. Anyway, I love each and every one of you, and I just thought I would post this video for you today. We'll be back on Monday. Take care and be safe, you guys.
Chernobyl reactor number 4, where the disaster happened.
That's pretty close.
Hey, have you been inside?
No. It was exciting, right?
Yeah, man.
No extra charge for bear attack. You can only go inside with radiation suit.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to Pripyat.
Yeah, cha-cha.
Hey, Christopher.
Moscow, thank you.
Is everyone okay? Let's go. Move.
Go!
Hey, mate, I'll have to get your email out.
Sure, dude.
Catch up again. I'll be back to Kiev.